I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, before we start, I have to bring this up because the gentleman over here and I were just discussing this 9 o'clock business. Sometimes it's 10, 10:30, and 9, and it's kind of confusing. I think we ought to set a time and stick with it.
9 o'clock sounds good.
Well, sometimes you need a little bit more time in the morning to prepare.
9:30? Compromise?
How about the public? I mean, is it an inconvenience to the public to get here at that time?
We have them at night now. I'm kidding.
It doesn't bother me.
How about 9:30?
You
Do I have to make a motion?
I want to hear from the people that attend the meetings if it's, too early for them.
9 o'clock fine.
Sir?
1 to 1. There we go. We will.
Just so we don't confuse people even more.
I think we should have a special meeting in the evening, maybe sometime in the summer. Maybe we'll get together and try to find a community to have some evening meetings. Pick maybe a community and 2 in the townships and maybe some in the northern, eastern area. So.
I wonder about the point you're thinking about engaging the county employees and so forth, that they're service rather than be able to be there and so forth. Surely, aren't you like that with the school? And I think that should be taken into consideration.
Well, that's why we have the agendas ready by Tuesday, so people can be prepared before they get here. That's why we push that, so we got 1 and 1 and a compromise.
So what do you think?
9:35?
9:30 is okay with me. Well, usually people come to work about 8,
Yeah.
so that would give them an hour and a half.
Okay.
All right, let's set it at 9:30.
You have to make a motion, or do we have to open the meeting
So
first?
moved, yeah. Well,
Oh, okay, we're in session.
all right, yes.
Will we prominently display this information in several newspapers?
Oh, we can talk to them right here and here. Chris? Okay, look at
Well,
9:30.
no problem. Okay.
So moved.
Moving.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion to set the meeting time at 9:30 on Thursdays, beginning next week.
Yeah.
Next week? Okay. Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
All right. On resolutions, I need a motion to approve the Job and Family Services bills for payment.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Investments?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Appropriations?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. There was a form in here that I didn't sign, nor you. I don't know if it's a requisition or appropriations or requisitions. I guess everything's color-coded, right? I don't know if you had a note on there, and I threw a note on there too. Jim, did you see it, or?
No, sir, did not.
There it is, yeah, right on top. I don't know if that was writing. Did you see that?
Changing the tax statement procedure, John, and it's for $44,000.
Why don't you pass it this way? And we'll-
Yeah.
What's that, one requisitions, or?
That one might be good. That was under
Is that under transfers or requisitions? Or appropriations?
Well, what they did with this is for revenues that are coming in. They're just breaking breaking them out differently for tracking purposes from the special levy funds and some of the revenue funds coming in. It's a procedural process. And Mr. Oakley just verified that back here when I just talked to him.
It says real estate expense. What's that? That's not what you just said, so I gotta clarify this.
It means the same thing to me.
Oh.
It's a procedural change quantitatively, in terms of the procedurally, which was the essence of that. This was a type of procedure that was changed by the auditor's office, and I think it's a good one.
Okay.
What it did was to mandate that we change the forms.
Okay. That's it for discussion.
Mrs. Vacy? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
There is one advance for $14,439.01. There's temporary advance for the Medical Life Fund. It will be repaid upon receipt of the premium transfer.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Travel expenses.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Approving bills for payment.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
None.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary for employees within the jurisdiction of the Lorain County Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Need to authorize the addition or deletion of employees in the Children's Services Department to utilize their Shell Oil, Gas, and Credit Card for the year 2001, and I will list the employees in the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Authorize payment to United Healthcare for medical runoff claims for certain employees in the total amount of $195 as itemized on the list of claims.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
We need to advertise for bids for the following projects. For the replacement of the Peck Wadsworth Road Bridge number 0565 in Wellington Township, Lorain County, Ohio. Estimate of cost is $363,092 with 89% Ohio Public Works Commission funding. I'd like to publish the notice in the Chronicle Telegram and Morning Journal on March 29th and April 5th, 2001. For the network hardware maintenance contract, there will be a mandatory bidders walkthrough on Monday, April 12th, 2001 at 2 p.m. in the Administration Building in the Purchasing Department. I'd like to publish this notice in the Chronicle Telegram and Morning Journal on March 29th and April 5th, 2001. Proposals from profit and not-for-profit agencies to provide services for adult daycare, homemaker, home health aid services, adult shelters, counseling, and adult guardianship for the Job and Family Services Department. Title 20 funding for fiscal year 2002. Need to publish the notice in the Chronicle Telegram and Morning Journal on March 26th and April 2nd, 2001. And the 2000 Community Development Block Grant, Sheffield Township restrooms in Lorain, Ohio. The estimate of cost for the project is $23,500. Need to publish the notice in the Chronicle Telegram and Morning Journal on March 27th and April 3rd, 2001.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
I'd like to approve and enter into the following contracts with the Job and Family Services Department. These are purchase of service contracts for child daycare. The first one with Little People's Palace of Lorain, Ohio, effective retroactive to January 1st, 2001, expiring December 31st, 2001. Lorain County Family YMCA of Lorain, Ohio, effective retroactive to February 1st, 2001, expiring December 31st, 2001. Mildred Bond Daycare Center in Lorain, Ohio, effective retroactive to March 1st, 2001, expiring December 31st, 2001. The Elyria Child Care Center, effective April 1st, 2001, expiring December 31st, 2001. Laura's Learning Treehouse Incorporated in Avon, Ohio, effective retroactive to March 1st, 2001, expiring December 31st, 2001. Amendment number 4 for the Horizon Activity Center, a PRC developmental reserve for the after-school and summer programs. And the Geddes Child Care, Elyria, Ohio, effective March 29th, 2001, expiring December 31st, 2001. And a purchase of service contracts for the PRC Developmental Reserve The amendment number 3 for the Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Northeastern Ohio Incorporated, effective retroactive to February 1st, 2001 through June 30th, 2001. The amendment provides for servicing the mandatory components of WECO, the Individual Development Account. Peggy Thorpe is here if you have any questions from Child and Family Services.
Is there any questions?
No.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
I'd like to approve and enter into a lease agreement between the Board of Commissioners and ETA for office space utilized 42485 North Ridge Road, Elyria, Ohio. 14,800 square feet at $5.31 per square foot equals $78,588 annually. Lorain County Veterans Administration is currently utilizing 800 square feet of this space, so the annual lease amount should be reduced by $8,085. Lease is for a term of 60 months commencing retroactive to August 1st, 2000. And these amounts are based upon the indirect cost studies prepared by DMG Maximus Incorporated report.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
I'd like to award the following contracts for the Community Development Block Grant funded projects. The first one for the Eaton Township's elevator fiscal year 99 funded project to remove architectural barriers. Will go to the R.A. Joseph Construction of Avon, Ohio, in the amount of $63,200. The engineer's estimate was $64,000. This was the lowest and most responsive bid received, complying with specifications. CDBG funds will be provided in the amount of $58,800, and the balance of $4,400 will be provided by Eaton Township. And for Huntington Township's restroom fiscal year 2000 funded project to remove architectural barriers to Williams Brothers Construction of Elyria, Ohio, in the amount of $9,574. The engineer's estimate was $16,000. This was the lowest and most responsive bid received, complying with specifications. CDBG funds will pay the entire cost of this project. Please note that CDBG funds are federally funded. Chapter 12 of the Policy Manual of Procurement specifically prohibits local preference bidding practices. And Ron's here, if you have a question.
Ron, I have a question, but it doesn't pertain to these issues. I'm just wondering, the CDBG money, when we start with the Justice Center, can we use GDBC money for some projects with the Justice Center?
In general, CDBG funds cannot be used for new construction. And I would say that would be my first response, but we have been asking if there's any way that we can use a portion of the county's money. The response thus far has been no, but we're still looking into it.
Okay. What about solid waste money? If we get some recycled material, signs, whatever.
Commissioner, I can answer that. And yes, we can use solid waste money.
Okay, it's just things that I think we should keep in mind and review or investigate to see if we can. Thanks, Ron.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
Oh.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
I'd like to publish notice for the first of 2 public hearings for the 2001 Community Development Block Grant formula applications. Notice to appear in the Chronicle Telegram and Morning Journal on March 25th and April 1st, 2001. The public hearing has been scheduled for Thursday, April 12th, 2001 at 11:30 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye. I see you two guys smiling over there. You know I'm always trying to pull money from wherever I can.
And as long as it stands,
Well, I'm trying to tap into yours too, Ron. ADA Act something.
Commissioner, if I might, if we just moved our regular meeting to 9:30, do you want to set these public hearings at 11:30?
Good question.
Maybe you
We'll
want to
have
move
to
that
move
up a
those
little
also.
bit? Or is that already?
boy, if you move that far,
I'm just saying,
Give us
you might
time.
want to start doing your public hearings a little bit earlier too, so that you don't have,
Maybe move this one up to 10:30 then?
11 anyway, 10:30, 11.
10:30.
Right now.
Yeah, please.
Rex, you better check the availability of the rooms, too.
I'm sure we can get it.
Well, we have a couple recurring meetings some Thursday mornings, CIC, LAMP program people. It's the only one large enough for them to meet in.
I've had Mary Lugolsky, she wanted to come in and talk to the commissioners about the public assistance trends for like 15 minutes. That was at 11. So you want to back this up a little bit?
You can always come back in and
You heard 11, you said 30.
Okay, ready? What I'm going to do, that's fine. 10:30?
10:30?
10:30, that's for,
10:30, okay.
It's for Ron.
Okay.
Mary Lou at 11?
Mary at 11. She was 11. Just leave her at 11?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Moore?
Thanks, Jerry.
Did I take a motion on that? Yes, I think I did. Sorry. I'm done with that. We're moving on to number 17. Award contract to BFI of Lorain, Ohio for hauling services for the Pride Day event scheduled for May 18, 2001. This was the only bid received, and BFI has done the hauling for this event for the past several years and has been very accommodating to the district's needs. The Recycle Ohio grant pays $17,000 for hauling charges. The district will pay the balance with a not-to-exceed amount of $20,000. We'd authorize the Vice President to execute on behalf of the board.
So moved.
second.
Discussion?
Is this, the not to exceed our part's gonna be 20,000 or the total?
No.
So we're looking at 37,000?
No.
Last year, 17,000, that's just about where it came out.
Oh, okay.
The 20,000 would be over the 17,000, but we expect maybe if it increases, it'll probably be a couple thousand coming out of that.
Oh, okay.
In other words, just 3,000 difference.
Okay.
Not the total 20. I had the same question.
Okay.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Could authorize the appointment of James Cordez, County Administrator, to represent the Commissioners as a member on the South Shore Community Development Corporation Board of Trustees, effective March 22nd, 2001.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
To authorize two members of the Board of Commissioners to execute a drawdown number 130 for submission to the State of Ohio Department of Development for fiscal year 98 and 99 Community Development Block Grant Formula Grants.
Ron?
Would you like an explanation?
Yes, please.
We have been working these projects bidding off on a general fund advance. If you remember, for both 1998 and 99. I forgot, frankly, to bring up a copy of Drawdown 130. It is up with the secretaries at this point. If I remember correctly, this amounts to about $360,000 that we have already spent from these general fund advances. And by getting two commissioners to sign that, we can submit to the State of Ohio. They will write us one check. We will disperse that back into the general fund and pay back those advances and become more solvent again. So that's the request that's before you.
Okay. Thanks, Ron. Any question?
Oh.
So, who do we have sign this? You and Betty?
Either, any two of the three commissioners, you're all three down there, so any two of you can sign.
Oh, so we can make a decision, whoever's here can sign it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, just so that two are authorized, any two that sign first are available can sign.
Okay. Thanks, Ron.
So moved.
Second?
More discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Authorize the purchase of carpeting for the Lorain County Job and Family Services Department. The cost of the carpeting will come from the shared cost allocation and will not exceed $46,101.29. The purchase will be made utilizing State of Ohio State Purchasing Index number STS-721, State Term Schedule number 772721E, with an expiration date of September 9th, 2002. The vendor will be DuPont Flooring Systems of Columbus, Ohio. Peggy's go upstairs to that question, so she can answer some.
Yeah. Did you try local preference? Are we allowed to do that? Is this federal funds we can't do that with?
This
Or
is
state?
this is a state
we can't do local
procurement
preference?
state bidding contract. No, they can't do local preference on this.
Okay.
So it comes off the state purchase unless they're getting the best price.
Okay.
So moved.
Second?
Any more discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Approve change order number 1 in the amount of $851 to R.A. Joseph Incorporated of Avon, Ohio, for the Park Shelter in Oberlin, Ohio, a fiscal year 99 CDBG funded activity. Change order number 1 will convert the use of solid wood columns to a series of laminated columns. This change is being made so the structure will match an existing shelter in the park. The second part of the change order is to authorize a factory stain be applied at the time the order is placed for the structure. The City of Oberlin, as well as the Community Development Department, has reviewed and recommends approval.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
I'd like to authorize the appointment of Daniel J. Gardner of Oberlin, Ohio as Commissioner David Moore's alternate member on the County Planning Commission Board. The effective term would be March 22nd, 2001, expiring December 31st, 2004.
So moved.
Second.
No discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Authorize the following appointments for the Lorain County Transit Board. I'd like to put Mr. Herman Larkins as chairman for the year 2001, and Jane Renz from the position as alternate to member, effective March 22nd, 2001, expiring December 31st, 2002.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye. I do have some discussion here. Jim, is there some way that you could set up a meeting with all the board members so that we can all be introduced to, all these names that come up are familiar, but the faces are not as familiar as the names?
Absolutely. I can do that. I may suggest that you may want to do it in the evening because some of these people have other employment commitments, so they sometimes meet in the evening to have their group meetings. Maybe I can invite them up one late afternoon if it's agreeable to the board.
Would you be willing to do that?
Well, that's not, I figure we can go to the board meetings and meet them.
But
Are you talking about new members when we appoint them?
boards. Well, there's so many boards, and being you're new, and a lot of these people are new. We're not familiar with each other, and I just thought it would be an opportunity for all of us to meet.
How about I invite them to one of our regular meetings, and if that proves to be untenable, then we can make a different plan from there.
Or maybe one morning meeting and one evening, when we have an evening meeting or something, for those people that can't make the morning ones.
Will do, and then I'll work with Debbie Moore on this, and I'll get back to you.
I'm talking about all the boards that we appoint.
All the boards.
Well, two. Yeah, one huge meeting. Or one or two huge
A
meetings.
very huge meeting. Sure, why not? Yes, let me work on it, I'll make sure
Are you
that.
willing?
I don't know. That's a lot of people.
Well, we can
turn it
scatter
into-
the meetings, I think, we just need to know the people.
How about one board, maybe every other meeting, and we can start with, say, Children's Services and MRDD, Transit. There's a lot of boards.
I think we have like 13 or 14, maybe a few more.
Some of them are quite large. Let me set up a schedule, I'll run it by the board, and we'll make a decision from there.
Okay. I
Great,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Okay. And to approve and enter into agreement between the commissioners on behalf of Lorain County Coroner and Lucy Greenery to perform services at the request of the coroner. The agreement is effective retroactive to March 1st, 2001 through February 28th, 2002, in the amount of $85 per autopsy case. This agreement does contain a 30-day written cancellation clause.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Authorize the release and payment of retainage to Mitel Communication Solutions of Middleburg Heights, Ohio, in the amount of $56,514.52 for work performed on the installation of telecommunication systems at various locations. The contract is complete, and the contractor has submitted the necessary paperwork.
Commissioners, I'm asking that this item be tabled. Nancy's out this week, and I haven't had a chance to confer with her on this. So I would feel more comfortable when she's back next week, so we can make sure she's pleased with the outcome, and then we should release these funds.
We can postpone.
Okay. Table on.
Thank you.
We have to accepting the recommendations of the Tax Incentive Review Committee and approve the TIRC report, which includes 41 tax abatement agreements that are recommended to be continued for another year.
Okay, we were talking about tax abatements. I talked with Ron about this yesterday, and in light of what happened at York, and how these companies, we give them tax abatements, and then at the end of the 10 years, they're out of here. I think we should put some clause in these agreements that if they intend to move on or before the 10-year period is up, that they refund the county all those taxes that they saved.
Commissioner, we will be happy to check in with that, but I would remind everyone that this, again, tax abatement is initiated at the local level, and quite often we are invited to participate, but our responsibility as county government in all except for the one in Amherst Township, our responsibility is to conduct these annual tax incentive review councils. That doesn't preclude us, and we'll work with Mr. Innes. It does not preclude us in giving them, suggested wording on this, and that's what we would be happy to provide to the communities, if that's legal.
Ron, years ago I put a booklet together in regards to the tax abatements, and some of the communities that used it said it was like their Bible because they could just go down ABC. I don't know if you have a copy of it anymore, or if I do, but when we give this to the communities, we could maybe put something in there so that they know that maybe this board is not going to approve that tax abatement unless that clause is in there. Because I think companies sometimes take advantage of this,
Okay.
the tax abatements. I'm just bringing this up for discussion. I'd like to hear what you have to think.
Well, I agree with what Ron's saying. It's really a local issue. My concern is that, when I was at the tax abatement meeting, is that there's another issue that's even bigger, which is Ford, who ran out of their tax abatement. And my concern is nobody's communicating to Ford to say, hey, what can we offer you to stay? They usually plan about 3 years in advance. And did you type up a letter? And I think the three of us should also follow up with a letter to support your recommendation for the local communities that are going to be affected by what may happen out there at Ford.
And we're organizing meetings now with businesses, both through our office and through the county chamber, to reach out to the employers, the major employers of the county, but all employers.
Right.
And Ford is one that we are trying to get in. The problem with Ford here in Lorain County is they're suggesting that we really talk to people out of state, and so it's taking some time to organize that.
Okay. Most of those guys, they usually plan 3 years in advance, so the quicker. My concern is like when the abatement does stop, that they at least have a friend in government here that we can work with them and see what their needs are. And that's kind of the approach I was looking at.
Yeah, I understand, and I think that's good. But I'm concerned about these companies, and I know I was in Toledo one time, and I don't want to mention the name of the company, but they had a tax abatement. They were right here in this location. When the abatement ran out, they just moved from there right next door and got another abatement. Well, that's great because they stayed in the community. But we have a company here that has a tax abatement, and before it's up, they're leaving. Well, they took advantage of that abatement, but then when they decide to leave like that before the period is up, I think that they should somehow pay that tax back that they saved.
And administratively, Commissioner, we'll look into that. We do have some concerns. We don't have jurisdiction in the county in Elyria and Lorain. We had a situation in one of our communities. The company was looking to leave an existing building that they'd outgrown to the property right next door to it, which relates back to yours. But it wasn't property right next door. It really was across the property line, but it happened to be also across the corporate line, and so it was taking it out of one community to another community, and it also took it out of one tax abatement reviewing authority that we did not have reviewing process of, and putting it into a community that the county would annually review the tax abatement. So there are some complicated issues that will take us some time to explore these options, but we'll look into it. We're working on that.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
And while we're talking about that, I called Mike Barth yesterday. Someone gave me, they were watching CNN, and they heard that a company called Bowling, an airline, they make airplane parts, is looking to relocate or to put another division in. And they're looking at Chicago. So I called Mike and told him to get a hold of the company, see if we can't talk to them about coming here. so hopefully we can do something. Anyway, that's just for point of information.
That's great.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Any motion to approve?
Pardon me?
Any motion to approve the report?
So moved. Second. Have your choice. Sorry about
Mr.
that.
Moore? Mrs. Vacy?
Hi.
Approve the annual general fund allocation to Lorain County Soil and Water Conservation District. The allocation is in the amount of $101,421 and is utilized annually by the Soil and Water Conservation District to secure the state grant monies for operational expenses. Of this $101,421 has been included in the 2001 general fund budget.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
I'd like to approve the following Commissioners' Board meeting minutes and waive the reading of same for January 25th, February 1st, 8th, 13th, 15th, 20th, 22nd, and 27th.
So moved. Second?
Any discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
I think we better go back to taking turns.
Okay. I'm so confused.
It's easier.
Okay, comments, Mr. Cortez?
I have one issue this morning. Over the last couple of weeks, a few of the commissioners have access to work with First Energy Services on some projects with the Justice Center and some other tertiary issues. One of those was looking at our electric rates in the various buildings, and Ms. Newton's been working with First Energy on that, as well as I have. Sorry. We've been working with First Energy to look at the county's electric and energy use in our various buildings. This week they sent us some price quotes. Unfortunately, this is the second set they've sent to us, and they usually only give us 3 or 4 days to lock in a rate because the market's fluctuating so much. The quotes I have right now are good until Friday, tomorrow. Save the county about $10,000 to $12,000 over the next 2 years in their electric rates. What I'd like to do is get a resolution to allow the purchasing department to shift our electric company to First Energy for the county so we can lock in these rates. I keep telling them that we need a couple of weeks to work through our process and get it reviewed and up through board. They say that the rates are shifting so quickly out there they can't guarantee a rate. I can pass this sheet to the commissioners if you like.
Yvonne, have you checked with CCAO in regards to companies that they may have? Or is this one of them?
Yes, I have.
Okay, thanks.
How's this tie in with the negotiations on the Justice Center?
Well, the Justice Center is a separate issue, and they're working with the architects on some creative use of leaseback owning.
Isn't this the same firm?
Same company, but they also are a producer of electric. They're not a distributor, but a producer. And because of deregulation, we're able to market the county buildings and purchase electricity ourselves. This will save us some money. It's not tremendous, but it's a savings nonetheless.
Will this be a contract or an agreement?
It'll be an agreement, and if you pass a resolution agreeing to this, I would like it to be contingent upon approval of this contract by the prosecutor's office.
And also, will there be an escape clause in there?
That would be up to what the prosecutors determine. The only thing I will say about these contracts from energy providers, they're usually contracts of adhesion, for lack of another term. They're take it or leave it type contracts. There's not a lot of jockeying that's usually permissible or that they'll allow with their contracts. Obviously, I want to make sure the prosecutors, and I'm sure they will, safeguard the county's interest, but we don't have a lot of say in these terms and conditions. We usually don't.
I would move contingent upon the approval the approval of the prosecutor's office for the agreement, and also that there be an escape clause, 30-day, 90 days, something like that. in case we want to go to another, we find another company for less.
This will be a 2-year agreement, Commissioner. In order to lock in a rate, they want to guarantee that we're going to be there using. Otherwise, we can simply stay to where we are now, and which would place us at the whim of the market forces, and that's what we're purchasing now. They're not going to guarantee us a rate and then allow us to be able to move rather rapidly from there if something better comes along.
So we're locking in for 2 years.
Yes, sir.
We're going.
Yes, sir.
And the offer is only good till Friday.
And I'll amend the motion contingent upon the prosecutor's approval.
Okay.
And I'll amend the escape clause.
Thank you,
I'll second.
Commissioner. I'm sorry.
Did you support?
Huh?
Did you support?
Yeah.
I didn't hear. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
I have nothing further.
Okay, Assistant County Prosecutor, Mr. Innes.
I have no report this morning.
Commissioner's report.
I have something. Do you have anything?
Yeah. You want to go first or want me to go first?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Anyway, I just wanted to report a couple things, but I want to bring something up under old business after and something else under new business. I asked Jim to to set up a meeting with the Board of Elections and the commissioners to discuss the relocation of the two boards of elections, and this can be an executive session, I believe, Jerry, because we'll be discussing a possible building acquisition.
Well, I mean, to the extent that you're discussing land acquisition, you can do that in executive session, but a discussion of the actual merits of whether to consolidate or relocate buildings, I don't think is going to fit in that. And you can't...
Okay.
So the discussion should be, we're going to combine the two offices and find us a place. How's that? He stopped.
I don't believe that that discussion relating to a decision as to where you're going to, whether or not to consolidate this falls under any category of an executive session, Commissioner.
Okay. So we would have to invite them to a regular board meeting and discuss this,
If you wanted
the
to discuss
consolidation.
them with the majority of commissioners there, it would have to be a special, you could have a special board meeting, but I don't believe you could do that in executive session.
And then if they agree or if we decide to...
If as the result of your discussions, you decide there might be some land purchase that you have to do, then that limited land purchase issue can be executive
Okay, because
session.
I don't want to give a disadvantage or an advantage when we start talking about land acquisition, because then if it's publicized, then wherever we decide, someone else can, they just
Well,
compete.
when you discuss those, it's odd, but it may be some inconvenience, but when you can have your session, and when you get to those issues where you have to discuss things that directly bear on the land purchase, you can take that part of it into the executive session, but you can't use that as a reason to put the entire discussion into executive session.
So, what do you think? I think we should discuss it with the Board of Elections to see if they will, if they're in agreement with consolidating the two.
Well, that's the first thing we have to do, I think.
Right.
Are you talking to him about that?
I have I've had some discussions with Mr. Kovic concerning desires of the Board of Elections as they pertain to space needs and as to consolidation of the Elyria and Lorain Board of Elections. And those discussions are ongoing.
I'm sorry, who are you having the discussion with?
Mr. Kovic. I'm assuming that when I speak with Mr. Kovic that she is representing her the voice of her board. I have not reported back to the board on this issue because I'm waiting to meet with Spitzer's management to talk about possibly extending the lease on the Lorain building to match the lease on the Elyria building. The lease in Lorain expires in August of this year. The lease on the Elyria building expires in May of 2002. If we were to consolidate prior to August and move out of the Lorain building, we would have to pay a sizable amount of lease rent on the building in Elyria. That would be approximately $7,000 or $8,000. Oh, excuse me, more than that. I'm sorry. It's approximately about $25,000 to $30,000 on that building. So my position that I was going to recommend to the board would be to extend the lease in Lorain until next May to match the leases, and then at that point we should find a home for the Board of Elections, and probably a few months before that we would make a decision on with the board on consolidation.
Yeah, we should start now. It's going to take them months to move, and
Well, once again, we're talking about if we get the lease extension, and if that's favorable to the board here, that would give us 14 months. And I'm not going to say that we're not going to have ongoing discussions, but 14 months is quite a bit of time. I wanted to make sure we could extend that lease in Lorain first. I don't know that that's a given or a guarantee. And one of the things I wanted to raise as an issue when we speak to Spitzer management is that to possibly get a month-to-month on the tail end of both leases in case we run into some problems or we're having some difficulties or we're under construction with a new building or whatever the options are. So those issues, I believe that Dr. Ballard has set a meeting for us to meet next week. Greg, is that correct?
That's correct.
Jim, are you going to meet with the board? I think you should.
I will. I just wanted I want to find out what options are available. I do not know that the option of extending the lease in Lorain is available. I have to make sure that that's available before I can go in and discuss with the board, staying where they are until next May, or even discuss it with this board here. I just don't know that option exists yet without meeting with the owner of the building. And at that point, once I find out that I have option A, option B, option C, we can move forward. I'm hoping that we can get this extension. If we can't, we have to move rather quickly. August will be upon us very quickly in Lorain. Although there's a lot of space in Lorain available right now, there's several buildings that come quickly to mind, and then you have the St. Joe's Community Center. That move's going to be really tough on the Board of Elections, and that would not aid us in getting consolidation if that's what we want to do.
Well, if we want to consolidate, and if the board agrees to consolidate, then I think hopefully we can extend that lease. If not, we're going to be paying for space somewhere else and the move. And not only that, but if they do consolidate, I don't know, it's going to cause a real problem if we...
Well, I understand, Commissioner, and I've had brief discussion with all the commissioners on this issue. As you pointed out, rightfully so, we're paying about $101,000 a year on rental space for these two buildings, and neither one of them is what I would call a very desirable building or of any significant quality that would demand at this time that kind of rent with the available space. So over the course of the lease in Elyria, we paid about $600,000 in rent on a converted warehouse. So there's options out there, but I have to make sure that I know what the options are so that I can properly advise the board.
so you can find out by next Thursday from Spitzer Management. They'll give us a month-to-month.
Greg, what day is our meeting, Greg?
The meeting is scheduled for Friday.
This Friday?
No, sir.
Oh.
I would probably know the preceding week then. My discussions with Dr. Ballard were to let them know what we were coming out to discuss, and hopefully it's that they would send a decision maker out with some authority to at least give me a nod that was something that we could do. So
Okay, well, if you're going to meet with them, then there's no need for us commissioners to meet with them. You could bring the information back to us.
I appreciate that, but I think sometime in the future we probably should have a meeting together. But I think we should work out all the minor details before that meeting occurs.
I just want to make sure that they know that we want to cooperate with them, that the board is not just going to make a decision to consolidate or to whatever decisions without their input.
I've made that known to Mr. Kovic, and anybody thinks that this board doesn't cooperate is silly.
I think $101,000 a year, we can either build a very nice building with the warehouse included with it, because now I think they're storing things somewhere else. We've got the 2 boards of elections. John, maybe you should check this out, or somebody should find out where they're storing all that equipment, because we may have a 3rd lease here somewhere. And if we do, I mean,
It was
it's best to put this all together
It was my
in one building.
It was my understanding that they were using the warehouses at both buildings. They have quite a bit of warehouse space in each building.
Well, this one doesn't have too much. I don't know, it's worth looking into
Okay,
though.
certainly. I'll make sure that when we do move forward, that we incorporate all the leases into one.
And we could probably put up a fairly nice building for less than $101,000 a year.
I would think so, Commissioner.
Okay, that was one thing. And the second thing is I'd like for the board to look into a long-range plan for computers, because with all this modern technology, what's happening is we're getting requests for purchases, and it seems like we're piecemealing everything. And if we can get someone to look into what our needs are and computer systems and that knows something about technology for the future, I think we're going to be able to better budget.
I agree.
Okay, that was all I had under the commissioners.
Talked to Mr. Rocacy regarding the county getting a budget. I mean, we've talked about that, and I think right now we're looking at a 3 to 5 year budget so that we can do things like what you just said, which is start planning for the future. So I proposed to him to try a 3 to 5 year budget and revisit the budget every 3 years and have a working document that will continue. The problem is to do a real, I think what you stated, to be a more effective, realistic one would take about 6 months. But the budget director explained to me that we could probably get a working document in 45 days?
I'd say about 60 days.
60 days? So hopefully we'll be working as a group in the county, because after that working document's prepared, I think the best bet would be to give each department the documentation that our budget director came up with, and hopefully as a group the county can come together and start working with some future planning. So that's what we discussed this week. Did you see a copy of this week?
Where is it?
This was on my desk.
Oh, from Squires?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was an awful lot of money. I think we're paying Squires $300 an hour.
Yeah, I got a bill from, well, it's thrown on my desk. It was for $12,700 for legal work on a company that wasn't even here yet and working with the airport. And they're willing to settle for $8,000. And I'm looking at this going, did you see this, John?
No, I haven't.
I've spoken with Squires on that. I was the one that got them to come down on price.
Oh, okay. I still think the 8,000 is too high personally, but
Well,
can this come out of the airport budget instead of our general fund? Even though it's the same, but I want the airport, I want this to come out of BAR's budget. Is that okay with you?
It's great.
I got a little upset when I saw this, especially at the request of the former commissioner. I thought, wait a minute. So I don't want to personally pay for this, or I should say personally, but the general fund, if this would come out of the airport budget, could you take care of that?
I'll take care of it.
Okay, thank you. That's the thing that kind of robbed me yesterday, so. Is that okay?
That's great.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea to have the long-range plan for our budget, too.
Okay. That's all I...
It's going to help.
Yeah. Your little thing. Anything else?
Okay, that's it.
Okay, any old business?
I don't.
Nothing on your own.
New business?
Yes. I would move that we put a ban on the use of foreign steel for any county projects, including engineers' projects. I feel like the continued illegal dumping and subsidization of foreign steel has resulted in substantial job losses in Ohio's steel industry and in Lorain County. And I'd like to see a penalty provision in there and in the resolution that will require 100% reimbursement to Lorain County for any political subdivision which receives sales tax, community development, or roadway improvement funds that is in violation of the resolution. And I would also ask that the board send a letter to the Ohio General Assembly to adopt House Bill number 7 to prevent the use of foreign steel in the state of Ohio improvement projects, as well as support Senate Bill 11 and Sherrod Brown's effort at the national level. Also, I would move that we send letters to other counties asking them to join us. And I would also ask that a letter be sent to Mahoning County and Trumbull County, who has already put resolutions together doing the same as we are. And actually what we'll be doing is joining them. And also to the County Commissioners Association and inform them that we are joining the other 2 counties and supporting the state and national efforts. And I don't know, but I'd like to bring this up for discussion, get your thoughts on it. Would we need someone to, and maybe Jerry can answer this better, investigate and enforce our violations? I'm putting 100% in here, but the state level has put 150% reimbursement that will go back to the schools for any violations.
Well, before Jerry answers, I'm not going to second that because I think this is very important. I agree with the intent, but I feel that I read it late afternoon, the resolution, and I'd like to wait and have it on the agenda for next week so that Jerry could have time to review the whole resolution to make sure issues such as does it have enough teeth to enforce, can we do what it states, and so.
Well,
I mean, after meeting with some of the union leaders, I expressed to them my concerns, which were, I haven't had enough time to research it, and I want to make sure if we're going to do it, let's do it right. And since I haven't read it, I just thought I'm just giving them an out.
Okay, I gave you a copy of the resolution, and I believe you have some information from Mahoning County.
Yeah, Mahoning County sent us a letter, and then I got the resolution yesterday afternoon.
Okay,
I'm just saying, I'm not going to second
I appreciate that. Then I'll give you information from the General Assembly, also from Trumbull
Right.
County, and from Sherrod Brown.
Right, and
that
the
you
unions-
can review,
yeah,
and
the
I'll
unions
give
are
you
gonna-
copies, Jerry.
I suppose the unions are supposed to be dropping off a package for me today on the language that they'd like to see, so.
I did forward a copy of our resolution to the Steelworkers Union.
Okay.
And I got a call back. They were real pleased with it.
Okay, I just want to make sure it can be effective, and is that okay, Jerry? Would that be enough time instead of a minute now, I'll give you a week to look it over?
We'll try.
Okay, because I would like to have an opinion letter from the prosecutor's office and the engineer's office, Ken Carney, since he will be affected by this also. So I'd like to get an opinion letter on the resolution from him, since this would affect him too.
Okay. Well,
Is there any other departments that would be affected?
Yes, we will be.
Well,
There's going to be a lot of steel in the Justice Center.
Well, yeah, but if we continue this foreign imports, it's already with televisions. I don't care what you buy, clothes, shoes, whatever it is. What the United States is becoming is a retail outlet for foreign goods. And we're losing a lot of jobs. And to keep those jobs in the United States of America, where people are paying taxes, putting that money back, and I'm not going to stand for tax dollars that we have to spend to be used to lose jobs. So I think whatever difference there is in the cost will come back into the United States through our own people. And we have to put our foot down somewhere, because we're just, the United States, like I said, if you look around, you're seeing more and more malls and retail stores than you've ever seen in the past. And what we're doing is importing these goods and selling them at low price wage jobs. So, I really feel very strongly about it, and however we can do this, and it's a start. If I could say no foreign shoes coming into the United States, I think I would do that, but that's my gripe on it.
We get a motion and you will not support, so I feel like the second to put on next week's agenda.
if you could, if
Please.
that's okay.
Yeah, I'd appreciate
Okay.
it.
So, new business.
was it. Thank you.
So could we get who's going to contact our engineer, county engineer, to get an opinion letter on this? Will you do that, Mr. Cortez?
It may not be, excuse me, it may not be necessary if Jerry reviews it.
I know,
And
but-
reviews the information. And I think the state, Senate Bill 11, if they pass that, it's going to be a mandate throughout the state.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
And they included, let me read you part of their resolution to tell you
Well,
what
that's
they...
what I was just asking if we could get just an opinion letter from the engineer, since we're affecting his job, that's all. And
I can get an
prosecutor.
opinion letter, and
And the prosecutor. Just a really letter of support is what I'm looking for.
You're looking for a letter of support, is that
Yeah,
is that
that's all.
acceptable, Commissioner Vacy?
That's all.
See, because what they did in here, they included any building or structure, including highway improvements,
Correct, yeah.
in whole or in part supported by the state.
Right. And we just added, hopefully we'll add some more teeth to it.
So hopefully, maybe if anything else, Jerry, we can add more to our resolution, include other areas. Okay, Smiley?
I have no idea how complex the issue will be at this point, Commissioner. I'll report back to the Commission.
Okay, any other new business? Public comment?
Fred?
Fred Oswald from Wellington, ALSPACH. Just a couple of points as a citizen I would like to have clarified. First of all, item 28 on the agenda. As the board historically approves numerous meetings, minutes of numerous meetings at a time, I understand the February 1, 8, 15, and 22nd dates as regular board meetings on Thursdays held in this room. However, my question is, the meetings of the 13th and the 20th, were those special meetings or something? Could somebody just clarify that?
Those are Tuesday morning meetings when we go into executive session, and if we come out and there's any action, is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Correct.
We start off an open meeting to
Yeah.
approve the child support bills, child care bills, which are quite a stack of them.
I was curious, and I appreciate the clarification. Next item is in Mr. Cordes' report in negotiating with First Energy. I am aware, as a public document, that most of the municipalities within which the county buildings are located are part of the Northeast Ohio Coalition that negotiated a rate, not with First Energy, I believe it was Green Power, whatever the name of the company was, out of Houston, and I believe the city was part of that. And my question is, did the county opt out of that? Because I don't recall that being published that the county did opt out. They may have, and you'll tell me. But if they did not opt out, can they indeed negotiate their own rate without opting out?
Gee, Fred,
I think Fred knows a little
no,
bit.
it's not going to be an easy morning, is it? I don't believe that we were, as a governmental entity, automatically opted in to the city of Elyria. The county is a political subdivision, and our buildings that are located in the city of Elyria still remain as part of the county, and that resolution was defeated in the county.
I didn't really understand your question, Fred.
A little food to chew on there, Fred, right?
Yes. Based on the fact that the city did, the city of Elyria, by their legislative action, by their vote, they are part of.
Right, but remembering that we are located in the city, but we are not the city.
That's
Okay?
a good explanation. That's,
I just made it up.
Oh, wow.
So,
I'm buying it.
but I think they're going well in their purchase of aggregate electric. I know there's been some movement there. We were not sent any literature to opt out from the city, as most people are, and I believe, once again, as I explained, that's because we're a political subdivision. So we took the initiative to lock in some rates and save the taxpayers some money with First Energy. But I do appreciate you pointing that out, Fred. Thank you.
Well, that's a point of clarification I appreciate, so thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mary Beth?
Mary Beth Derekito, Huntington Township. On this motion to prohibit governmental bodies from purchasing foreign steel, I guess my question will go to Mr. Ennis, but we are required to accept the lowest and best bid. If indeed a foreign steel product is lower than a U.S. one, where does that leave us?
Well, if we decide to do this, we would have to have that put into the bid specs before we send them out. And that's one of the issues that are raised regarding practicality and enforceability of these. And to that extent, Commissioner, I'm sure there would be some enforceability issues that we would have to look at. But yeah, undoubtedly we would have to implement that into our bids before we even get started.
Well, one of the things that we purchase are tiles for driveways.
Is that steel, Mary Beth?
Some of it is, we've used plastic and we've used some steel. So in that case, you would be putting out the specifications.
Well, I mean, I can say off the top of my head, I see some severe enforceability problems. I can answer that one without even whether those could be addressed in some practical manner or not. It's, of course, as the Commissioner says, it's a state law, then we'll have to deal with it anyway. But there's no doubt there would be some practical obstructions and problems that we'd have to look at and address as to how we would enforce this.
Well, I heard that Governor Taft is going to be in Cleveland this afternoon to sign Senate Bill 11. I guess that'll give us some direction, but I'm wondering if we do this as a resolution for the county, would that include the townships, Jerry? I mean, it's not going to be including the cities and the villages.
Well, it would not cover their individual contracts, except that in some of their highway construction, some of their CDBG. You started that. Now you got me going.
CDBG.
Right. That indirectly goes through the county, so it would have some impact on the township.
I just don't want to get caught in the middle.
You will.
Well, it's good. Jerry's going to look into it.
That's why we want to spend a week looking it over, and I'm sure you'll be back next Thursday to advise.
Yeah, and we can contact Trumbull County and Mahoney County and see what they're doing in regards to those issues.
I think it would be appropriate too to send a letter to the Township Association and let them know what's happening with this.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions or concerns? Media, questions?
More correspondence?
I move to waive the reading of the board correspondence.
Second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
That's all I have.
Tom Kelly is here now. He's on the agenda for 11. He just walked in.
He'd like to reschedule. So he'd like to reschedule
He
this
had
11 o'clock. So there will be no 11 o'clock.
I'm all broken up about that.
I don't know. Want a group hug? Move to adjourn.
Second. We're all finished? Okay. Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
conversation with one of our cities that would like to start a foreign trade zone. We may not take advantage of all of the duties and tariffs with materials brought in here, but we can have in a foreign trade zone the opportunity where jobs can be created. We can collect real and personal property taxes on businesses and income taxes in this county, even if the products are only assembled here and redistributed back to another foreign country. We are positioned so that we can do that easily, certainly between ourselves and Canada and the rest of the world. Frank talked about being a global economy. We need to do that. One quick show and tell, just because I carried it all the way up here, and I want to make sure that I do it. And that will be the end of my comments. We have an opportunity right now. The State of Ohio Department of Development will pay for Lorain County for up to half of the cost of productions for marketing throughout the entire Canadian area. They can put together an 8-page brochure that we would do the photograph work, the layout, and the text. It would be included across Canada in a publication like this as an insert. We then would have whatever number we want, 3,000 copies is what they're proposing, that we could send to businesses that want to expand or move into Lorain County, that would talk about Lorain County. We also, in addition to those two pieces, it would be in the Site and Industry publication throughout all of the United States. That's a free publication. It's paid primarily by subscribers, and we, as an insert in there, would pay for that. This is a copy of the Globe and Mail, which is the same thing as the Wall Street Journal in Canada. Our publication would make it as a part of that advertisement piece in Canada. In that, roughly to do all of the costs, we're suggesting between $12,000 to $15,000 to put that together. The actual cost of publication would be a little over $8,000. Half of that the state of Ohio will pay for. They only pay in their program, they only pay for communities that have a population less than 170,000 people. The reason that we're doing this is because the State Department of Development knows that we need to, with NAFTA agreements and everything else, we need to be a global economy, and that we need to talk to our neighbors to the north of us. And Lorain County is certainly on the north coast of the state of Ohio, is positioned to do just exactly that. And so they're willing to make an exemption to their rules and provide us half of that $8,000 cost to participate in these publications. It will be dependent largely on whether we have the ability to market. Presently, we gather that information and talk and collect it, but we are not able to advertise even in our local print or cable media. We would like an opportunity to at least expose the commissioners to the possibility that's out there. There are publications and similar deals that we can do here within the state of Ohio on marketing, as well as the nation on the print and published media. So that concludes my comments. I appreciate your indulgence in allowing me to slip at least one or two commercials in, but to talk about that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Are there questions for Mr. Twining? Okay. There's also an item about restructuring the Community Development Department. That's the last item. You want to address that or not?
No.
Not now? Okay. All right. Now then, having heard all of this discussion, item number 22,
I'll try this, just so moved. And go for, then open for discussion, or I'm sorry. Let's start from there.
sure, so
Okay.
moved and open for discussion,
There
that's
we go.
fine. Okay, all right. Okay, discussion. Are you going to discuss?
Oh, I can discuss.
Good.
Okay, well, the reason, what I was looking at with Ron, he didn't go into too much detail, is that there isn't any there's a lot of turf out there within the county, and that's why a lot of this marketing is not just geared for, well, I tied it to economic development, but a lot of it's geared towards assisting our other programs, basically making Ron Twining the point man for the county. Instead of having, we had a gentleman come here and discuss the Great Lakes OLMC, the Organized Labor Management Council. He wanted to borrow some money for marketing. Basically, Ron Twining is almost our marketing department, not saying he's the marketing department. A lot of people come to us asking for $1,000 here or $1,500 here to promote Lorain County services, and I feel that Ron Twining should be the person that we should be gearing our marketing towards. If he has a budget that he can use to market, he's going to be a little bit more selective on who he's going to pick and choose and how to market our employment base to go after employers, but also not leaving behind our employees or the employees of this county. People that are being laid off, how do you someone to work with the one-stops to get the name out? I mean, I believe Commissioner Vassy worked with Nordson to get the one-stop out there, I believe, and if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't have, I mean, it was a fantastic program. The one-stop went out there. Jan Rabarski did a great job, but, had Commissioner Vassy not done that, they would have not got the benefits. So how do we know that it's out there? Make the one-stops come, make Jan Rabarski come and work with Ron Twining to develop her marketing strategy, and then he will have a budget in which to promote how we can assist Lorain County citizens that are having some economic problems. So basically what I was trying to put together in the marketing aspect of it, I went from 0 to 100 by going after different types of marketings and giving a direction where you can't just, I don't like giving just here's 100,000, market as you see fit. So what I did is I tried to go more regionally, tie it to employee and employer-based marketing aspects, television, some training for the development for his department. So, and the reason why I threw in, or I didn't throw, I mean, I felt that we needed to hire a few more people was if we do pass this, he's going to need some help. If we do not pass it, then I guess he doesn't need any help. So that's that part right there. Really, I looked at Glide when I mean, this is nothing new. This is not the Dave Moore economic proposal that was reported. This is the Lorain County. This is people that I've talked to. A lot of these things were implemented or were discussed before I got here. I felt that maybe this what I liked about it was the new economy. You're talking about Glide. That's the new economy. We're talking about the, okay, that's great to talk about the new economy, but if we don't have money to build that roadmap to bring in the new economy, then we're going to have some issues. The Main Street group, with the new economy, people aren't looking anymore for tax abatements. I'm sure people are. But most in the new economy, they're looking for somewhere to plug in, somewhere where they can just plug in their company and operate. And that's a quality of life issue. And that's why I thought Main Street we should support, because that ties in to the quality of life of our county. Most CEOs don't feel comfortable coming in and talking to government. That's why I support the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce. We've supported them in the past 5 years. I feel that we should support them for the next 5 years. And Mr. Cortez is on the crosshairs, I guess, right now to see if we can pull off the support authority. That's an asset that we can use as a county. I know Lorain has one, the city has one, but that only affects a few of the area of this county. This will help the whole county, correct? So therefore, okay. So that's my discussion part.
I particularly like the item about the brochure that you mentioned at the end, Ron. I'm a member of the Lorain County Visitors Bureau Board, and at our meeting Wednesday, Pat Kano, the executive director, showed us, well, no, in fact, it wasn't Pat. Fred Elspaugh, who's also a member of the board, brought the Ohio Magazine from his home, and in there was the insert, which is the Lorain County publication that the Visitors Bureau put out, and the whole section of that, however many pages it was, is included in the Ohio Magazine. So I think Lorain County's on the move, and I think it's very creative, and we need to keep that synergy going. And I think the operative word here is partnerships. I think that's a word that we've heard many, many times here, and I think it's important to continue these partnerships, and I think it's helpful to the county. So.
I think this is all excellent, and I commend you for, your efforts in putting all this together. I commend Ron for his efforts and everyone here. But Ron, in my opinion, you're excellent as a planner and as a director of economic development. I think we need an individual there. I think we need someone, or else we're going to stretch you so thin that we'll eventually wind up losing you. But and I think it's just kind of putting the cart before the horse. Like you said, Commissioner Moore, we need to build the roadmap, and I think we need the director to build a roadmap for us and direct us. I think right now these plans are wonderful, but you know, there's another thing. John had said in a December 12th letter, 2000, that we're heading for a recession, and the economy is slowing down, and I really feel that spending should be moderated. I think we have to watch how we spend our money, or else everything that we're talking about over here, we're going to see happen right in government. We're going to have layoffs if we continue to spend the way we do. And you're talking about $5.2 million from what the newspaper reported. That's a lot of money. We've got some major issues. We've got a levy at the Sheriff's Department that they are going to be coming back here and requesting additional funding. These are obligations, mandatory obligations for the general fund, and I think we have to look at those. We have judges that we're talking about, a Justice Center, Prosecutor's Office, the Recorder, the Clerk of Court, all these people going into a Justice Center, and we're talking, today we just talked about not having enough money for what we plan on doing. That's why I think, you know, although I agree with all this, I think we need the roadmap put in place first. I think we need a director and someone that can direct us to where we have to go with economic development. And I've said for years that we've needed an economic development director, and I hope it comes to pass before I leave office.
I disagree on the economic development director. I think the last thing we need is more government
Yeah, but you're just talking about
I'm talking about bringing on more
clerical
people.
and director here, assistant director.
I'm bringing on more people to support Mr. Twining's efforts. The cost of the people we're bringing on board is less than bringing on an economic development director with his 2 or 3 people that he'd be bringing, or she would be bringing on board. So I tried to gear it into more of a one-stop shop for community development and economic development. This is just basically a marketing program that comes under Ron Twining's department. That's all it is. He has the programs that we have. This is nothing new what's on here. Everything I see on here has been already discussed. Everyone's heard about it. It's there. What I'm trying to do is bring everyone together, have the county not basically just offer a helping hand here. That's what this is. This is basically just offering a helping hand. I look at this as not spending, this is investing our money for the next 5 years, and if we do have an economic turn down, we can discuss this in the budget. I'd like to work in the next couple of months on putting together a 3 to 5 year budget for the county. If we do have economic downturns, we're not encumbering this money for 5 years. I want to put it into the budget so that we can have it in the budget for the next 5 years. Okay, I would like to pass this so we can do it this year.
Shouldn't we have a long-range plan put together? And that should include our computers. I mean, we should have something about where we're going with computers. There's an expensive item, too. I think before we make decisions like this, and you're talking about a director and additional staff. You've got additional staff included right here. But all we're lacking is a director.
Correct.
And if we can and you're talking about marketing, this is great, to market Lorain County. But what happens when you have a business that wants to come into Lorain County? Who's going to assist them after you market?
Ron Twining.
Yeah,
I see Frank DeTilio from the chamber raising his hand, and I see several people raising their hand.
I guess what I'm trying to say is everyone's pretty much, what I liked about Main Street is you have 5 different individuals that could be fighting for turf. What they are, they came together. It's a good example of how entities can come together. What this does, it brings people together, and let's face it, in government, he who has the money will follow it. Mr. Twining will have $100,000 at his disposal, identified through us, on how to spend it. I can tell you right now, people in the county are going to be knocking on his door saying, I want a piece of that. And he will be able to say, I'm telling you, it's better he than us, okay? I'd rather have him have people come and say, we want to market this part of our community. We want to do this. And he's going to say, I'm only allotted this much to market this part of the budget. I don't want to have people coming in and taking that money. That's why it's divided up to say, okay, market our employers, market our employees, let them know what the services we have here in this county. But you know what? I don't think we need an economic development person, because that turns, as of right now, Mr. Twining seems to be the least political person I've met, and I don't think he's as what's the word? There's a word I'm looking for, but I don't think people feel as threatened by Mr. Twining, and I feel more comfortable having him head this project this year. And if next year or the year after we feel that this department's is growing too fast, and he recommends that we need an economic development person, then we can have that discussion. But right now, I don't think we need to hire another director to head this up. I think he just needs some support, and by getting some support, it will free up some time for him to continue economic development.
And even if you give him $100,000, you're going to see just what you saw today with the solid waste. There's a department that has money, but when they run out of money, they ask for general fund money.
No, this is,
So what, what's the difference?
well, this is identifiable. 15. This is all cut out and identifiable as where it can go.
Okay.
That's how I put it. 'Cause that would happen if we just said, here you go.
Further discussion? I'd just like to comment, we do have a contract with the Chamber of Commerce till the end of this year, and in that contract, it allows us annual review of our budget and appropriation.
It does.
I believe that that's accurate. Yes, I see some head shaking there, but I think that's part of it. So we have the opportunity each year to review that contract in conjunction with our appropriations and the monies that are available to us. And I would envision that probably we would have the same capabilities in any of these agreements. I think you said that.
Yeah, I would think so.
So
Because
that you're suggesting putting something into place, and then each year we will review what is available to us dollar-wise and how these fit into that program.
Correct. If you see this, I want people to come back and explain to us what they did with the money, how they used the money, how it benefited Lorain County, not just their department or not just your organizations. I want to see and make sure that the money's being spent properly. So this isn't money that you can use and say, okay, great, I want you to come back here and do presentations. I prefer semi-annual, but I think for the first year we can probably, since it's already 2 months into the year, I don't have a problem with next year. I would prefer semi-annual reports from the departments, and with Mr. Twining right here, we could probably ask him on a monthly basis. So that's how I see it. I mean, I'm not locking it up for the full 5, but I want to start, when we start discussing budgets for next year, and hopefully a 3 to 5 year budget for this county that we can look at and operate from, then I'd like to have us participate in it.
Further discussion? Elizabeth?
Elizabeth Rummix, R-U-M-I-C-S. I'm sorry I didn't identify myself formally. I think these all are indeed excellent. However, as it reads, a number of them are saying 4 or 5 year period, and these people are going to begin planning as if this is a given. If you do not intend that to be a given without review and so forth, I think the statement should be interpreted, should be put into these phrasings here. As it reads, to most people, I would think you are guaranteeing 5 years' worth of this without any strings, requests for review, or anything of the sort. If you want that in to support these, which do seem excellent, then I think it should be so stated.
With annual review would be attached to that.
Well, you made the motion originally. What was your original motion? You can just
I said
amend it.
so moved. So moved with annual.
Annual review on each item.
Yep. Because I would like that to make sure that we're not locking it. Because if we do have right now we're sitting pretty good. But if 3 years from now that we're in a crunch, the last thing I want to do is lay off any sheriff deputies over programs such as this that we could cut into. So.
And as the seconder of that motion, I will concur with that inclusion. Is there
Yes, I was
any?
making a motion.
Excuse me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you comfortable with
Yeah,
that?
I'm comfortable with
Yeah,
that.
okay. Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Nay, with the concerns of the general fund obligations at this time, and also I feel that we need an economic development director to set the roadmap.
Okay, thank you for that. I think that we have covered most of the items on the agenda with the exception of a report from our county administrator. Do you have any report this morning, Mr. Cortez?
For the sake of concluding the meeting, I have nothing.
Thank you. Mr. Innes, Assistant Prosecutor?
No report.
Thank you. As the President, I have no report. Commissioners, do you have reports?
No.
Thank you.
No,
Okay.
no, thank you.
That takes care of old business. I don't think there's any pending new business that we want to talk about today. I'm just going right down here. Is there anybody from the public who would like to comment at this point in time regarding any issue whatsoever? Now's your chance. I see no one coming forward, so that's in the news media. Okay. Then, I will move that we go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel, item number 9. Excuse me?
You hired?
Let me go back and look. What are we talking about? Mr. Cordez? Mr. Cordez.
One moment, I'm coming up with the proper terminology.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you did that. I didn't realize that.
We will be discussing personnel wages.
Personnel wages. We will be discussing personnel wages. Okay?
They're gonna go broke, it's time to get out of gas.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Wait a minute, I just got an article
Okay.
at home.
Thank you.
Excuse me, John.
There are a lot of people. How can I put this in? Thank you. Thanks. There are a lot of people moving to Mexico now.